Okay, hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good day to Doctor and everyone. We are from Group 1. We will present about Topic 1, the United Nations Conventions on the Law of the Sea, or LOSC 1982. But our group will focus on the third United Nations Conference on the Law of the Sea, or known as UNCLOS 3. Before I present, I will introduce myself first. My name is Sarhadatul Nur Akmal binti Solihuddin. My matric number 261986, and I will present about the introductions and the Malaysia contribution in the development of 1982 LOSC. We know that, and we are aware that the signing of United Nations Convention was the success from the UNCLOS 3. But before the UNCLOS 3 was introduced, there were two conferences was created before this, which is UNCLOS 1 and UNCLOS 2. UNCLOS 1 was held in 24 April until 29 April in 1958, and there was 4 conventions was created or was implemented under the UNCLOS 3, which is the conventions on the territorial sea and the contiguous zones, conventions on the high sea, conventions on fishing and conservation of the living resources of the high sea, and the last one is the conventions on continental shelf. Due to the failure of UNCLOS 1, UNCLOS 2 was created on March 17 until April 26, 1960, and due to the failure of UNCLOS 2 also, then UNCLOS 3 was created to solve all the unresolved maritime dispute. And UNCLOS 3 was held on 1972 until 1982 by aim on restructuring the legal regime on the entire world ocean due to the failure of UNCLOS 1 and 2. UNCLOS 3 very significant and vital, as it provides a valuable lesson for the future formulation of law to govern the global commons area that lie beyond the limit of national jurisdiction. And UNCLOS 3 very important as it covers a wide range of ocean issue and provide the legal framework for the sustainable of development. According to the Non-Aligned Movement, or NAM, UNCLOS 1982 is one of the most comprehensive legal instruments negotiated under the auspices of the United Nations. UNCLOS 3 also was emerged as an important part of the international legal system for the protections of the marine environment. Okay, then for the problem statement is Malaysia known as one of the 160 countries that participated in the UNCLOS 3, and Malaysia was play a pivotal role during the drafting and negotiation process of the draft text of LOSC. And this involvement is very crucial to ensure that Malaysia would not lose the chance or opportunity to defend and fulfill its own national interest. And for our group, there was 4 research objectives. The first one is to discuss and examine the general background of UNCLOS 3, to appraise the contribution of Malaysia in the negotiation of UNCLOS 3, to identify and discuss the reasons that drive Malaysia to support the draft legal regime article, and the last one is to examine which article that Malaysia contributed during the UNCLOS 3.
Thank you. My name is Ong Li Teng, and I'll explain the background of UNCLOS 3. UNCLOS 3 consisted of 11 protected sessions in total, spanning more than 9 years from the first session in 1973 in New York until the opening of signing of the United Nations Convention on Law of the Sea on 10 December 1982. Okay, now we'll proceed to composition of delegation. UNCLOS 3 was participated by delegations from 160 states. The states are coming from different group structures such as Latin America and African group. Besides, non-governmental organizations, NGOs, also invited to the conference to sit as observers. They brought independent experts to meet with delegations, that enabling delegates to have an independent source of information on technical issues. Furthermore, NGOs are responsible to assist representatives from developing countries to close the technical gap between them and developed countries. The table shows the delegates from Malaysia during the conference, and Mr. Abdul Qadir Yusof was head of the Malaysian delegation. He was also the Attorney General of Malaysia to the plenary session of the UNCLOS 3 in Caracas. Next, we will proceed to negotiation block. Asian bloc, there are 41 member states. The common interest pushed the establishment this group, which covered their ambition of claiming 200 nautical miles delimitation of EEZ. Next, we will look at group of 77. The group of 77 was the leading negotiation bloc for the developing states such as Africa, Asia, and Latin America in the United Nations. Most of the G77 members perceived in the need to have equal access scientific capabilities and its capability to further exploit marine resources in the future. Next is Strait State Group. This group was also considered clarification of the concept of transit passage, regime for straits, and to separate it from archipelagic sea lane passage, regime for the archipelagic water. Next is Archipelagic State Group. The Archipelagic States Group was formed during Caracas session in 1974. It provided a platform for the members to discuss and strategize the efforts to promote the regime of archipelagic states. Next, we'll look at the group of major maritime power. Group of major maritime power, or so-called group of 5, consisting of the countries with the most advanced maritime capabilities. The 5 members included United States, Soviet Union, Japan, United Kingdom, and France. The Soviet Union was the anchor member of the group of 5 during UNCLOS 3. Next, I will proceed to negotiation and operational procedure. There are 6 committees set up during UNCLOS 3. They are General Committee, Drafting Committee, Credential Committee, and 3 main committees. 3 main committees are First Committee, Second Committee, and Third Committee. These 3 committees have different scope of responsibility and issues to be covered. So first, we'll see General Committee. The General Committee comprises of the Chairman of UNCLOS 3. Besides the President, the member of General Committee also consisted of Vice President, officers from the 3 main committees, and the Chairman of Drafting Committee. The role of this committee is to discuss the draft agenda of the conference and coordinate the work of 3 committees. It assists the President and the General Assembly in drawing up the agenda for each plenary meeting. Next is Drafting Committee. The Drafting Committee is a significant character in UNCLOS 3, particularly in the codification process of the draft text of 1982 LOSA. It consists of 23 members, including the chairman and other 22 member states. This committee did not engage in the negotiation process of UNCLOS 3. Instead, the scope of function of this committee was limited to compile all the draft texts prepared by the 3 main committees. It also been tasked to translate informal negotiation text into several languages and finalize the legal text of 1982 LOSA. Next is Credential Committee. Credential Committee consisted of 9 members. It was responsible for examining the credentials of the representative and the members of the delegations appointed by the head of state or government of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Now we're going to see main committee, the first committee. It was the first preparatory committee of the conference that was allocated to the topic of the international regime of the seabed and ocean floor beyond national jurisdiction. This committee composed of 91 member states. Next is second committee. In the second committee, the conference dealt with very difficult political issues of the territorial sea, the contiguous zone, the continental shelf, the EEZ, the high seas, landlocked countries, shelf-locked states, and states with narrow shelves and short coastline, and the transmission from high sea. The third committee was responsible on the issue of protection and preservation on the marine environment, but focused on the marine scientific research. It also works for the development and transfer of technology, like sharing of knowledge and technology between the developed and developing countries. Now I'll pass to my groupmate Rabiatul to proceed the presentation.
Hi, I'm Rabiato Adawiyah Binti Zariman. So next I will proceed about the voting procedure during the UNCLOS 3. As you know, during the UNCLOS 3, they use the negotiation by consensus as a mechanism to make a decision. So actually, consensus is about the original method in the conference to reach a decision, which means state will give their consent and compromise on the substantive matter in an agreement. So why they use the consensus during the UNCLOS 3? Because to avoid the majority vote from the minorities group, especially from the developing country. For example, consensus already used by the General Assembly regarding on the seabed and ocean floor issue. Why they use this negotiation? Because to manage the problem among the states and reach the consensus among a larger number of states with competing interests. As a conclusion, negotiation by consensus might be the one way to make a right decision because all states will get their interests and achieve equality among them. So next, I will continue about the package deal during the UNCLOS 3. So actually, package deal is a procedure to be followed at the conference session. It is important because to ensure the effectiveness of the meeting, where the work among the community could progress at the same page. This is a comprehensive approach that all main problems are addressed, with fair giving between interest parties and interest. In a short, package deal will combine all the related issues as the main issue. If the state agree with the package deal, it means that state must agree with all issues in the package deal. Why they must agree with all that? Because to ensure the effectiveness of the meeting, as all the main problems are addressed. For example, in this table, there are example the major issue that has been discussed as the package deal. All interests are categorized and arranged according to the related of the main issue. As a conclusion, package deal is about the all issues that were discussed into the package deal. So that's all from me. Akma will continue to the next topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca Davia. Then I will proceed with my part, which is I will present about the contributions of Malaysia in the development of LOSC. The one of article that supported by Malaysia during the negotiation is Article 55, which is the specific legal regime in the exclusive economic zone, or known as CEZ. By the way, the motivations behind Malaysia's support of the draft is to protect and to develop marine resources in our coast and preventing any disputes such as overlapping, illegal exploiting, and any maritime dispute. The key provisions in UNCLOS on the EEZ is Article 55. It makes clear that the EEZ is a regime that is neither under the sovereignty of the coastal state nor part in the high seas, but special regime. In Article 55, it was stated that the EEZ is an area beyond and adjacent to the territorial sea subject to the specific legal regime established in this part under with the rights and jurisdiction of the coastal state, and the rights and freedom of other states are governed by the relevant provisions of these conventions. In this article really important to be supported by the Malaysia because it can solve the easy dispute in Malaysia between other country. For instance, the example dispute between Malaysia and Indonesia. For example, in the northern regions on the Strait of Malacca, on the overlapping claim of EEZ, as the delineations of EEZ boundary line is yet to be finalized, and it was created uncertainty regarding of the status of national fisheries jurisdiction for the both country, and it drives Malaysia to support this article to protect our sustainability of marine resources. And according to the KC Bora, which is one of Malaysia delegate, supported this article because he think that this necessary measure to protect Malaysia marine environments in the zone and to prevent pollution as much as possible, especially in ship-based pollution, which has recently created a lot of serious marine problem for our country. And this article really benefit from the access and exploitations of living and non-living resources of the zones, and also enable to the country to develop its emerging fishing.
Thank you, Akmal. Next, I will proceed with another Malaysia contribution during UNCLOS 3. Before that, my name is Siti Aisyah binti Saad, matric number 261775. Okay, so we move to Article 42 on protection of marine environmental pollution that happen in international strait. Responding to pollution that happen in Strait of Malacca, Malaysia delegate has proposed Article 42, which refer to the law and regulation of state bordering strait relating to transit passage. In the section, all state bordering strait must adopt to the law and regulation through strait to prevent, reduce, and control of pollution regarding discharge of oil, oily waste, and other noxious substance waste in the strait. It means that all states that use international strait are bound to follow the law and regulation made by coastal state. Lastly is Article 51 on navigational and fishing access right in archipelagic water. Based on the slide, Malaysia are very concerned regarding Indonesia claim on archipelagic water that lies between East and West Malaysia. Due to that, Malaysia delegate has support the right of access fishing through an agreement to protect and safeguard Malaysia interests. On February 1982, Malaysia and Indonesia has signed bilateral treaty known as Jakarta Treaty. The provision in the agreement state that Indonesia permit Malaysia fishermen to fish by traditional method in Indonesia archipelagic water east of Anambas Island. Based on the agreement, delegate refer to Article 51 that state archipelagic state shall respect existing agreement with other state and shall recognize traditional fishing right and other activities within the water. So basically, even Indonesia has claim on archipelagic water, Malaysia still can enjoy its right to fish as they already signed an agreement before. As overall view, UNCLOS 3 involved 11 sessions for 9 years, starting from 1973 until 10 December 1982. There are many blocks involved to promote and defend their state interests, such as Archipelagic State Group, Group of 77, and Strait State Group. Not to forget, Malaysia also sent a few delegates to take part in the conference, such as Mr. Yatim and Mr. Hashim. We also can see Malaysia contribution during UNCLOS session, where Malaysia delegate has successfully proposed and support Article such as Article 42 on protection of marine environmental pollution on in international trade, Article 51 on navigational and fishing access and right in archipelagic water, as well as Article 55 on specific regime of the exclusive economic zone. In conclusion, UNCLOS 3 has led to the development of Law of the Sea Convention. Thank you. Next, we will proceed with question session.